Hey, it's Sam, talking today about Dhanishta Nakshatra. Dhanishta is half in Capricorn and half in Aquarius. This is ruled by the 8 Vasus, which have to do with creativity. It's also symbolized by Shiva's drum. So check this out. Dhanishta Nakshatra is equal between Capricorn and Aquarius. So this shows that transition between the practical effort and internal reckoning and emotional reckoning of Saturn that we do in Capricorn, and then bringing that out and sharing it with the world in Aquarius. So this is the only place in the zodiac where the planets rule 2 signs, one after the next. First one that Saturn rules is Capricorn, which is the feminine reflective nature of Saturn. Then after we reckon with that internal quality of Saturn and face our fears and create structure that gives us a feeling of peace and stillness, only then can we create something externally and make a commitment, Saturn, to something that's going to be of benefit to the world and society, which is the air quality, air nature of Aquarius. So until we reckon with our emotional stress and pain, we can't really align with something bigger, with a bigger vision and a bigger purpose. And ultimately that's really what Saturn is trying to bring to us. A sense of service and purpose and commitment to something higher, because we're not just this limited creature. So you want to understand, the more we're focused on just this separate being surviving, the more that's our focus, then the more we're going to then push that out into the world. And it's all going to be revolving around our kind of survival and our, maybe our family, and we don't really evolve. But once we work through the fear and pain of this little animal that's going to die, and until we're able to really work through that, we don't really contribute very much. Or the things we contribute, again, are very limited. But once we work through it, then it becomes universalized. And that's what Aquarius is, where we universalize our individuality. And it becomes more about making a commitment to something bigger than just our own little life. So this is a big focus of Aquarius, and that part of Saturn that steps up in service and makes a commitment to something that's going to outlive us as an individual ego. So Dhanishta is this nakshatra, and literally Dhanishta, Dhan is the root word, and it has to do with wealth and value and values. And it's ruled by the 8 Vasus, and I've seen the 8 Vasus described in many ways. Some state things like sun, moon, earth, and it basically talks about the elements and also the gunas. That's the simplest way that I've seen the 8 Vasus. 3 elements, 3 gunas and 5 elements. Add them up and it's 8. Particularly in Sankhya philosophy, that makes a lot of sense. So this is the creative matrix through which life unfolds. Now again, we can say creative, and it can just mean money or wealth or value. And of course, Dhanishta is easy to understand in that context. But value and wealth also has to do with true value and our values and creating based on our values. And in particular, when you see that it starts in Capricorn and ends in Aquarius, this is unmistakable, because again, I just talked about the evolution of our awareness beyond just this frightened animal that we need to reckon with in Capricorn. And of course, you can see that as a direct evolution of our value equation, our value matrix. Is it important that we just, is our highest value surviving, or is our highest value self-knowledge and wisdom? If it's just sort of surviving, then Dhanishta will be very focused on money. and values and even sort of greediness, right? Because this is one of the problems of the sign of Capricorn, is this possessiveness, this greediness, this sort of clutching to life. In fact, that's the way most people are. Most people aren't that spiritual. Let's just face it, right? If they were, the world would be a lot more spiritual. Many people that sow this quality of Dhanishta, you'll often hear astrologers say, oh, well, it's good for money, good for wealth. Okay. You say it's good for it. It can do it. It depends on your focus. If wealth, again, if you want to say that wealth is good, and of course we all need wealth, we all need money, but it can also be good for wealth and good for keeping us attached to it and greedy and all of that stuff as well. And by the way, there's no difference between someone who has evolved their understanding and now they're not so focused on wealth, they're more focused on awareness, consciousness, and higher spiritual potential. It doesn't mean they can't earn a good living. They have nothing to do with each other. It looks like a false choice when you're not aligned and when you're not on your path. But again, I've been trying to explain how these nakshatras kind of lead into each other. So when we listen to the silence and stillness in our heart in Shravana, then we're going to manifest in accordance with our true nature in Dhanishta. If we're not, and we're just filtering things through the kind of madness of our mind in Shravana, staying stuck on the surface, then our relationship to wealth and value and values in Dhanishta is going to also have that kind of shallow quality. Personally, which is the section that's in Capricorn, and then what we manifest in the world and what we serve and what we connect to in a more universal way, as the second half of Dhanishta is in Aquarius, will also have that quality of perhaps, greediness and desire for more money and competing against people for more, so I make sure I get mine, rather than finding something higher to serve. Because again, once we realize it's not all about our survival, then we want to just show up and serve something bigger. So these are qualities of Dhanishta, and the 8 Vasus, 3 gunas and 5 elements, are the things through which, and the matrix through which things evolve. And the symbol, powerful symbol, is Lord Shiva's drum, the Damaru. The Damaru is literally Shiva's drum of creation. So you see a lot of manifestation in this nakshatra. And I should say that the original name back in the Yajurveda and the Rig Veda was Shravishta, not Dhanishta. So after Shravana, which is hearing and listening, so we can manifest, then Dhanishta is where we manifest, where the 8 Vasus, 3 gunas and 5 elements, and the raw elements of creativity bear a result. And again, you can see this so clearly in sidereal nakshatras and rashis, equidistant between Capricorn and Aquarius. Shravana, hearing, gathering, listening, skillfully bringing things together so that we can manifest in Shravishta, first, an internal psychological structure, which is the first half of Dhanishta or Shravishta. The first half is where we create an internal structure, an emotional internal structure, and then the second half is where we take that into culture, into the world, share it with the world, where it's not just about us. In Aquarius, again, equidistant between the 2 rashis. And again, not to be redundant, but I will, once you break up the zodiac and you have rashis and nakshatras misaligned, none of that is the case. And again, anyone who has really focused on this, especially for decades, not anyone, but almost everyone I've ever met, understands these connections. You see it very clearly. You totally see the difference between Dhanishta in Capricorn half and the Dhanishta in the Aquarius half. Again, there's this big movement now. Everybody talks about the pada of the nakshatra, the pada. Of course, padas are important. And padas are also, frankly, aligned with rashis and the harmonic charts. But more than the pada is the rashi. Because again, this one, and it's interesting to see that this one is equidistant. So Mrigashira, Chitra, and Dhanishta are the three that are equidistant between the air and the between the earth and the air signs. So this transition between earth and air are shown by these three nakshatras. And as it goes from Capricorn to Aquarius, it's Dhanishta. And this stability, manifestation, and then the 8 qualities of existence, the 3 gunas and 5 elements, which are right at the beginning of Brihat Parashara Sastra. They're deeply related to everything in Sankhya philosophy. Allows us to manifest, first internally, psychologically, and emotionally, as we listen to the truth and connect with the silence through Shravana. And again, you can see that Dhanishta is an extension of Shravana, because it's Shravishta in the Rig Veda and Yajurveda. They probably added the Dhan or changed it to Dhanishta because of the quality of manifestation and wealth and value. But after Shravana and the reflection, feeling the silence and stillness, as it connects us to all things and people, and the people that we need to be in contact with to manifest, and to manifest our higher consciousness through silence and stillness, then Dhanishta, Shravishta takes us from the end of Capricorn to the first section of Aquarius, where we then show up and serve. That's the highest quality of Aquarius, where instead of it being about our lack of power, which can be the problem with Aquarius, is where we feel unempowered. We feel empowered to serve something higher. We're empowered, so I'm still strong, to serve something higher, rather than I don't have the confidence to serve because I don't have any power. That's the difference. So I'll talk about that as I talk more about Aquarius, but this nakshatra of Dhanishta is in between Capricorn and Aquarius. It's an extension of Shravana, of listening. We listen, and that allows us to manifest in between Capricorn and Aquarius.